Welcome back once again to the Imaginary Gallery. It is TJ, your host, and we're here for some more narcissist trash talk. What we're discussing tonight is something I realized I've already covered in my other series, which is totally different from this one, called I Am The Narcopath. In case you didn't watch the intro video, the alternate series, I Am The Narcopath, is basically me in costume, dressing up in ways that display how disgusting and repulsive these people really are, and actually speaking to you from the viewpoint of them and telling you the things that they would never tell you normally. Because if you've dealt with such a creature, chances are you've had a million questions in your mind as far as how could it do this and how could it do that? Well, that's what the point behind the Narcopath series is. Well, I did touch upon one such subject, which is closure. I will leave the link below if I'm computer savvy enough to figure it out. But I realized that I covered it from that angle, but not the real angle. So that's where we're at right now. Chances are, if you have been involved with a cluster B personality disordered person, which includes the narcissist, the covert narcissist, and the antisocial, so on, you may be having difficulty with the closure aspect, because if you're like I am, or many people, if you enter into, let's just say, a social contract or a social situation with someone else, and it is great, it's okay, it's middle, it's whatever, but then if it ever ends, it's usually a gradual process. It's maybe if you see each other every weekend, maybe it cuts down to every other weekend, and then every 3 weekends, and then it slows down, and you realize, oh, me and that person just fell out of touch. And it feels kind of natural. It may not be positive, but it, regardless, feels logical, because it started one way and it slowly deteriorated. Well, when you're dealing with the narcissistic or covert narcissistic personality disorder, it's a whole different ballgame. And what often happens is, as you already know from other videos, the narcissistic abuse series I have outlines, when you first meet them, it's like, boom! Oh, they're in love. Oh, they want to see you every minute. Oh, they love everything about you. Oh, you can say no wrong, and so on. Well, that by itself is unnatural. Because in my own experience, if I meet a new person, great, we had a first great encounter. Maybe there'll be more, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it escalates. And then later I realized, oh, wow, this is a great thing. Well, these people skip all that. It's like after one encounter, you're the one. And it's just so crazy. And you know, on some level, it's not realistic. But then at the same time, you can't deny what's right before you. So you might be tempted to say, okay, well, I'll go along with it. Well, the problem is when you're dealing with the cluster B monster set, what'll happen many times is, of course, they infiltrate or try to infiltrate every part of your life, even though you are not allowed to have the same with their life, but it's sometimes easy to overlook. But what happens on many occasions is you and your narcopathic monster have discussions, and on the other end, you're told things like, "Oh, well, we're going to be together for the longest time," and all these, what do they call, future faking, where they talk about how in the future the two of you are going to do this, and in the future the two of you are going to do that, and all this stuff, which is going through your head and your brain. Well, what oftentimes happens is, during all this, behind your knowledge, they have been seeking out a new partner to take your place. And of course, they're so considerate, they didn't bother to tell you this. And even if you were suspicious and said, "Are you looking for someone else?" you'll be told, "Oh, that is silly. How could you think that?" Yet, of course, they are. Well, often what happens is you're sitting there believing this fake storyline that the two of you are so in sync and so close. The other things that go on that indicate something else is up just don't really fit. What oftentimes happens is, you'll never know it, but they've already been pursuing the next person to take your place. So here you are thinking that you're in a real relationship, and you're clinging upon the various discussion points you've had before, thinking that you can make it all right if this or that happens. But all of a sudden, your narcissistic personality disordered monster has switched gears, has told you it's over, and is gone. And of course, it's not long before you realize it's gone with a new person, because these people aren't considerate enough to end things with one person before switching to another. No, 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 they can't handle the downtime in between. So they'll keep you going, and especially once they realize it's doomed because you've uncovered this and that, well, you're sitting there thinking, well, we can work through this, but they're thinking, oh, it figured me out, and they're moving on to the next. So there's like a miscommunication. But what often happens is your history. They've already decided this, and again, they never clued you in that they've decided this. They've led you to believe that everything will be just fine going forward, and then they switch to the next. Well, what does that do to you? That, if you're a normal, non-abusive, manipulative person, you'll be like, wait a second, what about all these discussions we had? And naturally, you will pursue the narcopath. Well, you are playing into his or her hands at this point, because chances are this new target, much like when you met this creature, the new target's being told about how terrible he or she's been treated by his or her exes, and how they all chase after him or her. And look at you. What are you doing? You are sitting there thinking, some things have not been resolved. Some things are still outstanding. And so you pursue the narcopathic person. You call them, you text them, because you're like left hanging thinking, I thought we were going to work this, and it doesn't matter what the narrative is. The point is, you are in your role, because these people are sick and twisted, and they actually orchestrate these things on a regular basis. So you think, wow, what a coincidence, but no, for these people it's like regular, normal business. So you're going to fulfill your role as the Obsessive Ex, when all you're really doing is trying to figure out, but wait, we discussed this, how can you be through? And so when you make your attempts to contact the narcissistic monster, chances are he or she will be with its next target with its phone in hand, and it'll be buzzing, and it'll use this, which is not an accident, by the way. They plot and plan this, I've learned. It's sick, but they do. So here you are playing your role, and they're like seeing the phone buzz in front of their new partner to be treated the same way eventually later. And you are going to be like, what is going on? I can't believe this would happen. Da, 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 da. And of course, if the new partner's next to him, look how crazy this person is. I told you, he or she won't leave me alone. Oh, I'm being stalked. Oh, and they will play it up when, of course, the new partner has no clue what they're in for. Of course, you do, because you were led down several trails and then cut. Well, any rational person would be asking the same questions you are, but they're able to alter and reframe the whole thing as you are the evil obsessive ex who's abusive. And you can't help but looking like it, because you're thinking, like with some of the stories I've told in other videos that are more dramatic, it's like if you're living with person B and person B, you find out, has raided your billfolds, taken your ATM card, emptied out all your money, and vanished, and then of course ran off to its next conquest. If you find that person, you are going to fit the mold of the crazy, abusive ex, because you're trying to get your money back. You're trying to punish. You're trying to say, how dare you steal? But they've reframed it all to their newest partner to say, my ex-lover's abusive. He or she chases me and attacks me. I've got to be safe. And of course, when you do your thing, you're fitting that role. And the new person might like fight against you, like, you leave him alone, you fool. You're the one who's... And it's all sick. And it does exist. So my goal is to bring the awareness to you, so if you've experienced it, at least maybe it will make a little more sense, because it's really disgusting.
Look, what's your problem? So I dumped you. I didn't need you anymore.
I don't know why you have to go around telling people that I did this and I did that. I simply just tell people that it didn't work out. Why do you have to tell them all these details? Why do you have to tell them that I found someone else behind your back? You know that's not true. He's just a friend. What is wrong with you? Why can't you just tell them it didn't work out like I tell people? That's all I say.
I am the Narcopath. My new name is Miss Cleo. I am the Miss Cleo resurrected, and I tell you now, the cops, they never lie. So, I lie, but the cops, they never lie.
Oh, darling, I know what you're thinking. You think that fortune-telling is all a bunch of hogwash. Well, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. After all, your car broke down right outside of my place. Do you think that was a coincidence? I don't think so. You were meant to come to me tonight. Now let me look at you. I'll prove to you how real I am. Well, I won't even ask you what kinds of questions you have. I will just tell you what I see. Now, let me concentrate on the crystal ball. I see a lover in your life. I see lots of lies. Did someone lie to you? I think someone did. Cheating. Did someone cheat on you? I knew it. See? I'm not asking for any money at this point, but I do see there is a curse on you. Do you notice how many people you date and have copulation with turn out to be evil and cheaters? Well, I assure you I knew it. I can see it. You've got a curse on you. Now, I know this consultation is free because I found you from the street. I knew I could sense your distress, but you do have a curse on you, which means for the rest of your life, you will always have bad luck with your dates. However, I have got good news for you. Oh, I have got the news for you. There is a remedy. I do have an antidote to remove the curse from you. However, I must inform you, maybe I shouldn't say anything about it. Never mind. Well, if you insist. It costs $1,000, but I guarantee you it's worth every penny. How do you think I've been in business all these years? Because I'm successful. So, you gather up your $1,000, come on back here, and we'll work on removing this spell so you can have true love for eternity, and you don't have to deal with these loser, liar, cheaters anymore. Is it a deal? I guarantee it's worth it. I am Miss Cleo, and I'll do a strip show for you too, just as an added bonus.